All right, welcome to the Monday Night Legacy Life team call. It is what is it, 2 days before Valentine's. So I get to hang out with y'all. Love everybody on here. We've got a fantastic call lined up for everybody. So whether you are seeing this for the first time and you're live, Monday, February the 12th, 2024, you're watching the recording of this sometime in the far future. Welcome. So we're going to go over some really good stuff tonight, but before we jump into everything, just wanted to say hello. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dan Hoyt. Been with Legacy Life for about 2.5 years now, something like that. Absolutely been a blast, absolutely life-changing, and I'm so blessed and fortunate to be surrounded by so many incredible people like y'all. I'm out here in the mean streets of Denver, Colorado, and our guest is not. She's out east a little bit, and I'll tell you a little bit about her in just a second. So while we're going through this, I cannot see you, she cannot see you. So do us a huge favor. If you like what we're talking about, you want us to dive deeper into a subject, use those reaction emojis on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, just like that. Very much appreciate you guys, feeling the love. I love y'all too. So use those throughout. That way we're not spending any time on stuff that you don't care about. This entire call is to add value to you, right? We're taking time out of our night because we care about you. We want you to succeed. And the way that we do that is by every week adding more and more value to you, showing you how to create leverage in your business, leverage in your life, and how to write more business, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for. So use those reaction emojis. Also, there's a Q&A button at the top of your screen. Make sure to use that if you have questions on something, if you want more clarification on something, if you have a question that's just random, shoot me a text or whatever, but let's make sure the questions are pertinent to the conversation we're having tonight. So use the Q&A for that, and we will do our very, very best to answer those at the end of the call if we hadn't done so already. So let's get this party started. So tonight, what we're going to talk mainly about is something called leverage. Make sure to stay hydrated out there, fam. So what we're going to talk about is leverage. And in business and in life, everything comes down to leverage. The more leverage you have, the faster you can do things, the more productive you're going to be. If you look at the largest organizations on the planet, they have the most employees. If you look at the largest churches, they have the most, the most members. If you look at anything, the more of something that you have, the more leverage you have, right? So in our business, you want to create as much leverage as possible to be as successful as possible. It's you against the world out there, and the world will crush you unless you find a way to create leverage in your life. Fortunately, with the Alliance, with Legacy Life, with everything that we're doing, you have massive leverage at your fingertips and at your disposal. Many of you just don't know how to implement or how to use it or how to utilize those leverage points in your business in order to increase your productivity and decrease your sales and increase, your paychecks, right? And so what we want to teach you is how to understand what is available to you leverage wise, number one, but number two, how to implement those leverage points to not only make more money, but also to be the best possible servant to every single family that you come across out there in the field, okay? So the more you know, the more that you can help them, right? So within the Alliance, there's a ton of different leverage points that you want to use. The ARC itself, our back office, is absolutely technologically just insane. It's the best thing I've ever seen. You have access to that. That's a huge leverage point because we're able to get paid from all of the different carriers into one single place. You're able to see your entire business in real time in a snapshot. We have President's Club, which if you're not using President's Club, definitely do that. Clay and the team are absolutely fantastic. They're going to help you leverage by, creating better experience, better post sign-up experience for your clients, giving you access to business cards, websites, all sorts of good stuff. So definitely reach out to them. We have BAM. They have a new name. I don't remember what it is yet. All right. So, but Burlington Alliance Capital Management, formerly the artist formerly known as Burlington Alliance Capital Management. Chris and the gang over there, absolute just bosses in what they do. They'll help you to find what's called safe money with your clients. They're going to help you find, IRAs and retirement plans and all sorts of stuff to convert into things like annuities or assets under management. And if all this stuff just sounds like you've never heard it before, this is all foreign to you, thank God you're on this call, because this is going to be a great stepping off point for you to learn some of these leverage points. But I don't know, I might be biased, all right, but one of my favorite, maybe my favorite in general, resource that we have within the Alliance that, if leveraged properly, will easily double your income for the next year, is is an absolute gem named Gina Hawks. Okay, it's being generated. Okay, sorry, I just got this weird notification. Anyways, it's Gina Hawks. So Gina, she is our product expert, number one. And number two, she's our IUL expert. If you don't know what IUL stands for, it's Indexed Universal Life. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But Gina is a resource that you can utilize to not only get educated on IULs, learn how to structure IULs, but she will even meet with your clients over Zoom and help them understand it. And the best way to learn this stuff is to learn from her. I've never heard anybody explain it so clearly and so in such an easily digestible way, because for me to learn this stuff is a miracle, and I learned it through Gina. So Gina, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know we're going to provide a ton of value to the team, but we know it's late out there. You're 2 hours later than us. We know that you're probably the busiest person on the planet, and so we very much appreciate you taking some time to pour into our team.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. It is awesome to be on the call. Thank you so much for having me. And it is not that late out here. I've actually been doing IUL calls with agents and clients pretty much all day long. I just finished one about not even an hour ago, a half hour ago or so. But I'm excited to be on the call today. Thank you guys for having me, and thanks for tuning in wherever you are in the US. I know we're all busy, and we definitely appreciate you tuning in, and definitely don't want to waste any of your time. So yeah, as Dan said, we're going to talk a little bit about IULs tonight. And if you're brand new and you don't know what an IUL is, that's okay. We're going to talk kind of real basics, but more importantly, just like Dan was saying, the leverage and the resources that you have here at the Alliance to help you sell IULs before you even really understand very much about them. So again, I'm Gina Hawks, and I do a lot of the training with the Alliance, but also help you one-on-one with clients when it comes to IULs. So I want to talk just real briefly and kind of high level about what an IUL is and how we use it. So IUL stands for Indexed Universal Life. So it's a type of life insurance policy. But a lot of times, one of the main ways that we're using these is not necessarily for the life insurance. They are great savings vehicles. And if this is a new concept to you, you may be thinking, well, that sounds crazy, using life insurance as savings. But a lot of people don't realize what certain life insurance policies can do for you for savings. They are an incredible savings vehicle. So in its like most basic form, think of an IUL as like a life insurance policy with a savings account built into it. So you're buying some life insurance. You're paying money into it. A little bit goes to buy the life insurance because, as you know, life insurance isn't free. So a little bit of money goes to pay the life insurance, and then you put more money than what's needed to cover the cost of the life insurance into the policy. And that extra money that you're putting in, that's what goes into the savings side. So again, I think of like a life insurance policy with a savings account built in, but it's like a savings account on steroids. And we'll talk a little bit about how it works, but that's what it is. Like in its most basic form, it is life insurance, but you also have cash building within the policy that you can access. And the way that we use it, It is life insurance. So sometimes we just use it for life insurance. Someone that wants kind of a permanent life insurance policy that's going to last them the rest of their life. Sometimes we do use it for that. More commonly, though, we use it as a savings vehicle. And it could be for children to save for your kids. It could be to save for retirement, really any kind of savings. It's just extra cash that's sitting there in your life insurance policy. And you may be thinking, well, why would I want to use this for savings? A couple of reasons. One is the tax benefits. That's one of the main reasons that people will use these, is because cash sitting inside a life insurance policy can be taken out of that policy through a loan 100% tax free. So there are very, very few vehicles out there where you can put money in and then later access it and not pay any taxes on it. So that's a huge benefit of life insurance. Life insurance as a certain vehicle has a lot of tax advantages. The life insurance that gets paid out when you die, that gets paid out tax-free. And then that cash that's sitting there in your policy, you have access to that as long as the policy is set up properly and you don't cancel it and just cash it out, you can get to that money 100% tax-free, which is huge. The second reason why a lot of people will look at this type of a vehicle for savings is it's a very safe way to accumulate good returns. So some people, like being in the stock market and they don't mind taking the losses and things like that. Some people don't like that. Or if they could at least avoid the losses, they would like to do that. So with the IUL, the way that savings, that extra money that you're putting in your policy, the way it grows over time is through what's called indexed interest. And what that simply means is the insurance company is going to watch a market index like the S&P 500, for example, and they're going to watch how that index performs over the year. And then they're going to pay you interest based on how the market performs. But here's the cool thing about indexing. Your money's not going in the stock market. The company's just watching a market index to determine how much interest they're going to pay you. Now, when the market goes down, you're not going to lose any money. And that's the awesome thing about indexing, is anytime the market goes down, you don't lose. You stay where you're at. You probably earn very little, if any, interest, but you keep what you've got. And that's what's important, especially anytime people are using savings, like saving for retirement. They don't want to go backwards. So they don't like losing money in the market. So we take away all those losses. And then when the market goes up, you're going to earn interest. The higher the market goes, the more interest you're going to earn. There are some maximums on what you can earn, and that's kind of the trade-off for the fact that they're protecting you against all the market losses. Now, I can tell you that these policies over the past 25 years have averaged about 6 to 7% return, average annual return. So that's an average, meaning some years it's higher, some years it's lower, but probably 6 to 8%. A return is a very, very good return if your money is at 0% risk in the market. So I can tell you, I own these policies personally I set them up for my retirement, and I've had them for a number of years. The oldest policy I've had for 13 years, a little over 13 years now. And I'm averaging about 7% return average return on that. Now I've gotten as high as 15, 30%. Sometimes I've gotten, 4%. So it averages out to about 7% return, which is right on the average of what, the companies that track the past 25 years of what the stock market has done. It's right on that average. So very, very good returns for a 100% safe way of saving money. And just, I'll throw this out there real quick for those of you that, maybe like some of the more technical aspects. But if any of you have heard of the rule of 72, that the rule of 72, in case you haven't heard of it, it's you divide the interest rate that you're earning on your money into the number 72, and that'll tell you how many years it's going to take for your money to double. So if we figure an average 7% return and we divide that into 72, that's about 10 years. So that means on average, these policies are doubling every 10 years. So, obviously the longer you let it set and grow, the more money you're going to have at the end of the day. But it's very, very good returns on your money, in a very safe way. So that's kind of 30,000-foot view of what the product is, how it works. You put money in, you buy some life insurance, you put extra money in, it earns interest based on the market, and then you're able to take part of that cash out at any time. That's the other great thing about IULs. You don't have to wait until a certain age. There's no penalties to take the money out early like there are with a lot of retirement accounts. You can take the money, you have money in the policy, you can take it out. Now, again, obviously, the longer you let it set and grow, the more you're going to have at the end of the day. But you have access to that money anytime you want. So we can do all that through life insurance, which is pretty awesome. I want to talk a little bit, and again, if you guys have questions, I'm monitoring the Q&A, so I don't see any questions right now. But I do, yeah.
So just for as somebody that in the not too distant past was learning this for the first time, all this stuff, it can be quite overwhelming, which, that's why it's so fantastic that you're on here. But would it be fair to say that within the IUL space that there's different flavors or different vehicles? So there's, the basic vehicle, like a Ford truck F-150 or something like that, some basic truck that if somebody just needs coverage and they medically qualify, and they're up to, let's say, age 75 years old, to make it easy, they can just get some permanent coverage at a great price. Or if somebody's looking to, create a tax-free retirement income and they've got the means, they can get the Ferrari of the industry and blow up their money in a tax-free manner if they have the means to do so. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. Spot on.
Perfect. Cool.
Yeah. So now I want to talk a little bit about who the client is. Dan just talked about that a little bit, but I want to talk more about who the client is if they want to use this for savings. Really, like Dan just said, anyone up to about age 75, even sometimes a little older, if they're healthy, they can get this for life insurance purposes. But what I'm going to talk about as far as the perfect client is going to be someone who's looking for it for savings, not necessarily the life insurance side of things. So there's basically three things that I want to talk about for your prospective client for an IUL. First of all, they've got to be relatively healthy. This is life insurance, so they have to qualify for the life insurance. Now, it does not mean they have to be the picture of health, never took a medication. It doesn't mean that. It just needs to mean they need to be relatively healthy, no major health issues, heart issues, diabetes, cancer, stroke, things like that. It's just not going to work for them. They're not going to be able to qualify for the life insurance. So you need to be talking to people that are relatively healthy, not a lot of health issues. So that's number one, is their health. Number two is time. Like I said, they need some time to let these policies set and grow. They do not necessarily grow fast in the beginning. So usually I say if someone's looking for this for savings, they need to have about 15 years to let it set and grow. It could be a shorter period of time, but we're kind of talking target market. So if you're looking at your ideal client, they have a minimum of 15 years to let the money set and grow. Now, the longer, the better. If they have 30 years, awesome. If they have 40 years, awesome. But you're looking for someone who has, at least 15 years. So relatively young, the younger the better. Like I said, they're great for kids, for savings, but you need some time to let it set and grow. If you're talking to someone that wants to retire in like 5 years or 7 years, this just is not going to work for them. We have other products that we can talk about that works for them. And so second thing is time. And the third thing is they need to have some money to put into it. The older they are, the more money they're going to need to put into it. Because remember, to get any savings, you have to pay for the life insurance first. So we've got to cover the cost of the life insurance and pay extra into it in order to get that savings accumulated. So I have kind of a little formula that I use, and I call these Gina's rules, and you can totally disregard Gina's rules. It will not hurt my feelings, but I've done these for a lot of years, so I think the rules are pretty spot on. But as far as money goes, my rule is if they're in their teens, $100 a month. If they're in their 20s, $200 a month. If they're in their 30s, $300 a month. If they're in their 40s, $400 a month. So you see the pattern there. That's kind of where they should be starting if they want to use this for savings. Now, if you have a 20-year-old that can put $600 or $1,000 a month in, awesome. That's great. The more they can put in, the better. They're just going to have more savings and more money to accumulate compound interest. But those are kind of minimums. And I say that because sometimes agents will talk to, a 55-year-old that's super healthy and they've got time to let it sit and grow and they want to put in $100 a month. And that's just not going to work. $100 a month for a 55-year-old is not even enough to buy the insurance, let alone get any savings. So I want you to kind of have an idea of what they should be looking at dollar amount wise to put in these to really see any savings, because otherwise you're going to show it. It's not going to be all that impressive because they're just not putting enough money in there to get the savings. So those are the kind of the three things, and they really need to have all three. They can't have 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3. For this to work, they need to have the time, they need to be relatively healthy, and they need to have some money to put into it. So I see we have a question here. Is a great question. Is obesity an issue? Yes, it is. So great question. Height and weight makes a difference. It's not to say they can't get it. We just have to look. They have charts that tell us what the height and weight needs to be. So height and weight makes a difference. Any health issues makes a difference. Driving record makes a difference. A criminal record makes a difference. So all of those things go into factoring in the cost of life insurance. And really at the end of the day, when we're using these for savings, we're trying to keep the cost of the life insurance to a minimum. We're trying to keep it as low as possible so that the majority of their money that they're putting in goes towards savings, not buying a bunch of life insurance, because the goal here is savings, not buying life insurance. Well, you guys probably know 2 of the main things that increase the cost of life insurance are health issues and age. So that's why they need to be relatively healthy and relatively young so we can keep that cost of the life insurance low.
So Gina, with the health stuff and underwriting, would it be fair to say that the health guidelines are going to be synonymous with a term
Yes.
type of underwriting, just to make it easy so that they're not thinking that there's multiple different underwriting guides between term and whole life and universal, that sort of thing. So they more so go along the same lines of a term policy.
Yes, absolutely. You're talking, people who haven't had any kind of major issues in the last, 10 plus years. So yes, that is a great kind of baseline. If they would qualify for a term, they're probably good for an IUL. So, and underwriting, we can talk about those. If you have a client and you're not sure about the underwriting, just reach out to us. Sometimes we'll tell you, hey, just call an underwriter. They're great at giving you risk assessments and things like that. But yeah, that's the basics on the underwriting. Now, I want to talk about the companies that we use for these products And again, primarily if we're using them for savings. So one of the main companies that we use is F&G, Fidelity and Guarantee. So one of the reasons we use F&G, we have a long-standing relationship with F&G. We've been doing business with them for 21 years, I think now. So great relationship with them. Their application is really simple. Their underwriting process is really good. Most people it's non-medical, so they don't have to go through a medical exam unless they're up in age or looking for a whole bunch of life insurance, which typically they're not if we're using the IULs. That you can call, you can talk to underwriters, you can talk to their sales support. They're just great to work with. So I would say if you're brand new, that's the company that you're going to want to start off with. Start with F&G because again, their processes are just great and they're much easier to do business with. They also typically have the best product when it comes to returns. So F&G is one of the companies I own personally. I have 2 IULs with F&G. I've gotten great returns. That's the one I've had 13 years. No problems, no issues. So I always love talking about F&G because that's what I own personally. Another company that we use and we also like is North American. Their processes are a little more cumbersome. Most of your clients are going to have to go through a medical exam with them, and the application process is not ideal because you fill out part of the application and then they email the second part to the client to fill out the health questions on their own, which can be a little scary. Plus, the email, comes from some obscure email address and it usually goes in spam and you have to follow up with the client multiple times. Hey, did you get the email? Did you go in? Did you answer the questions? So it's just a little bit of a more complex process. That's why I say start with F&G. If F&G declines one and we need to look to another company, we'll do that. But if you're brand new with this, you're gonna have much more success, I think, and like the process a lot better with F&G. We have some other companies. We have Allianz. We'll use different companies for different reasons, but I've got to tell you, we do the majority of our business with F&G. So definitely one of our top carriers. Okay.
A quick question I had for you.
Yeah.
I think it'd be valuable. You had just mentioned something that caught my ear. So you said that you have multiple policies. So can you kind of just briefly touch on what would be a reason why somebody would have multiple policies? Because I feel like that, especially for everybody on the call, of course, we're doing this to learn how to service, our clients and help these families that we're coming into contact to be the best stewards of their time and money as possible. But us ourselves are going to be getting these policies, and so somebody just starting out in the industry might just get something, but maybe in a year or so, 2 years, their income goes up, they're going to buy multiple. So if you could touch on that, I'm sure that'd be a lot of value for everybody.
Yeah, and one key thing that you said, Dan, is having these on yourself. Like that's huge. Personal use, having them on yourself, your kids, someone in your spouse, someone in your family. If maybe you can't qualify for one personally, but that's big because it does lend credibility. Every client that I talk to, I tell them I own these, and that goes a long way with the clients. You also learn how to quote them and how to fill out an application, all that fun stuff when you do it on yourself. But yeah, the reason I have multiple policies is really simple. I got my first IUL when I first heard about them 13 years ago. And I put the maximum amount of premium in that policy that I could. And then a few years later, I wanted to put more money in. So I bought a second one and I maxed it out. And then a few years later, wanted to put more money in. So I bought a third one. So that's why I have multiple ones, is because each policy, like there's no maximum on how many of these policies you can have. There's no maximum on how much money you can put in them, but there are maximums per policy based on how much life insurance you're buying. So you can max out a policy, but it doesn't mean you can't get multiple ones. Like I said, that's why I have multiple policies. The two of them are the exact same product with the exact same company with F&G. It's just I maxed one out and decided to get a second one. So great question.
Awesome.
Someone also asked about the height and weight. If their weight is too high because they're muscular, does that make a difference? I mean, they'll kind of take that into consideration on the IULs, but they're still looking at those guidelines. So it could still be an issue. I won't say for sure that, no, but if they're a bodybuilder or something like that, and they can explain the reason, then it's a possibility that that might be okay. Because they do look at things like that. So good question. All right. So am I able to share my screen? Yes, I am. Okay, awesome. So the next thing I want to show you is where you can go to find some training. All right, so Dan mentioned the ARC earlier. It's an amazing, amazing website. We have tons of information out on the ARC. We also have Alliance University, and this person might look familiar to you. So I have a ton of videos out here on IULs. Some of them are in the courses. Like, for example, there is a course out here for F&G, and I think it's like 280 something. How close am I? As you can see, there's lots of videos out there. All right, I might be thinking about the intro. Oh, no, there it is, 283. So these are two good videos for learning more about these. So you just go under courses, number 280, Intro to IUL. That starts with the very basics of what is an IUL and kind of builds. It's not company specific, it's not product specific. It just talks about how IULs work. And then the F&G course here, I'm going to click on it. It has product videos in there, but one thing I want to show you is, it's going to have me sign in first, is when you go to do the quotes on these. There is, like I said, there's product videos in here, what the concept of tax-free retirement is, a little bit about their underwriting, like there's lots of stuff here. Here's a really good video that will help you, is these on how to run illustrations. So a maximum accumulation with loans, that's a very common illustration that we do. And so if you click on that, it's going to show you a video. It's me going step by step on exactly how to do the illustrations. So
Is this the same video that was on the what is it, the NAA TV?
yes.
Okay, because that one is so hard to find sometimes. I'm very excited that those are all there now.
Yes, so you can find them here in the F&G course. Just let people know there's lots of different videos in here to scroll down until they see the videos on how to run an illustration.
Love it.
So that's one place you can find. The Video Vault also has tons of great training. And you can search because you're going to see out here, there's, we've got our product calls out here, some of Andy's recruiting calls, like there's a bunch of stuff out here, but you can search. So if you want to search like IUL videos, then it's going to take you to, most common IUL questions, F&G illustrations. So this is another good one that I just went step by step through how to do an illustration and how to explain an illustration. So these are great. And as you can see, there's lots of them on here. But that's another great place to find training. So under the courses and under the Video Vault, just search for IUL and it'll give you some great places to find some additional training. Then the other thing that I want to show you on the ARC is how to book an appointment with me, because one of the resources that you have and that leverage that Dan was talking about earlier is if you don't understand everything about an IUL, don't really know how to explain it to a client, don't know how to run the illustration, don't know how to explain the illustration, that's okay. we want you to know we talked about who your primary client is, somebody young, healthy, and they've got some money to put into it. So once you find the client, ask them a simple question like, what are you doing tax-free for retirement? Most people are going to say, well, what's that? Or I don't know, or I'm not doing anything. And then you can say, well, I've got a partner that I work with that specializes in tax-free retirement plans. And I'd love to book an appointment on her schedule for the three of us to talk about these tax-free retirement plans. That's all you have to do. Ask a simple question. What are you doing tax-free to save for retirement? And then what we call BAM FAM, book a meeting from a meeting, to say, hey, I have a partner. I'm your partner, not some gal at the home office, or I've got a partner that specializes in tax-free retirement programs. I'd love to get on her calendar. Now she's super busy. Let me see when she has some time available. And then you go on the ARC, you go to connections, and then you're going to see my name on here, Gina Hawks. You just click on that, and that's going to take you directly to my calendar. And you can book on here. The next time I have anything available is February the 19th and 20th, which is next week. I typically only have about one day a week to do these appointments because I am traveling the other 4. That's why a lot of times you'll see times blocked out on my calendar. But every week, almost every week, there are some weeks that I travel. Like last week, I traveled all week, Monday through Friday. So I didn't have any times. But typically, I have at least one day available. But the times do book up fast. So, but you can just go on there, book an appointment. If you cannot get an appointment with me, and you have a client like chomping on the bit, don't wait on me. Reach out to Dan, reach out to Nick. You've got other people that can help you with these. I am more than happy to help you, but I don't want you to have to wait on me if it's a week that I'm traveling and you can't get on my schedule. But the way these work is you book the appointment. I basically sell it for you. So I'll create a Zoom link. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to your client. The 3 of us will get on the Zoom. I'll ask them some questions. I'll explain everything to them. I'll run the illustrations. I'll explain the illustrations. I basically get them to the point where they say, this looks great. How do I get started? And then I'm like, well, that's where Dan comes in. He's going to fill out.
Gina. Guys, this is insane. I hope that you are getting this, because this right here is like mind-blowingly good. And those of you that are coming into this industry for the first time, you have no clue how big of a deal this is. But that's why we want to educate you on this and make you aware of it, because this doesn't happen anywhere else, y'all. No. This is a unicorn of a situation that the entire industry wishes that they had. The Gina is our like secret weapon. All right. Now, this is what's crazy. She's going to meet with your client, explain the entire concept, overcome any objections, do the whole thing. And then when they're ready to say yes, she turns them over to you. Now, Gina, just so we're clear, for you to do that, it would be an absolute steal if all you did was take 50% of the commission for the deal, right? I mean, 50% would be more than fair. I think everybody would agree that. 25% would be just giving away the farm, and would really be, like more like charity for you, right? More of like a tax write-off. But Gina, why don't you tell everybody how much you take by doing all of the legwork for them, showing them the perfect way to explain this to their clients? How much of that commission check do you take?
Yeah, I don't take 50%. I don't take 25%. I don't take any commission.
Come on, let's go.
100% of the commission. So yeah.
Y'all believe that? Show Gina some love with some heart emojis, y'all. Show her some love. This is a labor of love.
Heart emojis.
I can't believe that she doesn't take a percentage, but she does all of that for us, takes none of your commission, gives you a freaking layup. And that is why every day I'm like, God, I'm so thankful for Gina Hawks.
Yeah, it's just we do this so that you can help clients now, not, 6 months from now when you understand everything about an IUL. So you can help clients now. You can learn in the process because one of the best ways to learn how to do these, the best way is to do it yourself, but the second best way is to watch someone else do it so that then you can copy and do what they're doing. So you get to watch a sale happen and then you get paid all the commission for it. So it's a learning experience. You'll do a couple of these with me and then you'll realize this is not that hard. I can do this on my own now, which is the goal because I can't help every single person with every single IUL. But it's just a great opportunity for you to be able to learn how to do it and make money in the process. So,
Absolutely. Thank you
but
so much.
yeah, huge, huge leverage because no one else out there has, these kind of resources that we have here. So, and then speaking of another resource is we have an incredible training coming up in April called A View from the Edge. That's April 12th through 14th in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's an incredible training. If you've never been to a view, I know Dan's been to many. I went to my first one last year because it's the first time we did this at the Alliance last April. I was absolutely blown away. I really didn't know what to expect, but it like completely exceeded all of my expectations. I had heard Dan and Nick and them talk about it. And so I had a little bit of an idea, but I was just totally blown away. It's incredible training. Mark Aceta does characters. We call it edutainment. Like you get educated, but you're entertained at the same time. And it helps you to remember things. And I think of it like going and seeing about 20 mini Broadway plays in a couple of days, but Broadway plays with a teaching point that you can apply to your life or this business. So I just want to mention that because you definitely want to get your tickets. They will go, we still have early bird pricing, so they will go up over time. I tell people all the time, get them at the early bird pricing because if you just wait, you're going to pay more. You're going to get the exact same training, but you're going to pay more for it. So definitely you cannot miss A View from the Edge. If you're brand new and you're like, well, I don't know, do I need that training? Yeah, you need it. It will cut probably 6 months off of your learning curve. It's a weekend, a Friday through a Sunday, 2.5 days. We just fill jam-packed full of all kinds of different training. And it's like, well, do you want to make money now or do you want to make money 6 months or 7 months or 8 months from now? If you want to make money now, you need to get to A View from the Edge. So that's
Yes,
what I've got. I
absolutely.
don't want to take too much time. I know you guys have an amazing, amazing host on next week's call. So I'll let Dan kind of wrap up and talk about who you have going on for next week's call.
Absolutely. Gina, you are a very special human being. We love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for always pouring into our team. We love you very, very, very much. And y'all will have a chance to meet Gina if you have not at A View from the Edge. And so thank you so much for hopping on. I do have a couple more things to share with y'all, so don't go anywhere, but just wanted to give Gina her flowers and her love. We very much appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So as she was saying, y'all, I have been to probably 11 or 12, I can't remember now, A View from the Edges, the event that we have coming up in April. And here's what we'll talk about real quick as we kind of wind this down. We were talking earlier about leverage, right? Leverage. Everything in your life has to come out to leverage. What are you leveraging? How are you getting ahead? How are you getting more in return than you're putting out? If it's always a 1-for-1, really listen to me right now. If everything you're doing is a 1-for-1, you will work till the day you die. You will be very unsatisfied, very unhappy with life. All right. You have to find ways to create leverage. What could possibly create more leverage than developing yourself to be a better version of yourself than you are today. See, everywhere that you are, everything that's going on in your life, your bank account, your relationships, all of that kind of stuff, your health, is all accumulation of the decisions that you've made up to this point. And the decisions that you've made is because of the mindset that you've had probably since you were young. All right. There's a lot of 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds still trapped in a 10, 12, 16, or 18-year-old mind, right? So there's lots of people in 50, 60, 70-year-old bodies that are still working with the same stuff, the same mindset they had when they were 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, because they stopped growing. So there's so much more potential that you have in your life, and all of the goals, it all accumulates, and it all is a result of your mindset and how you've developed yourself as a person and what your beliefs are. If you believe the world is out to get is against you and out to get you, you can never succeed because your belief is getting in the way, right? So back in 2011, Dan, much younger Dan, went to his very first View from the Edge, and I got to tell y'all, it absolutely transformed my life. And the reason being is, when you go to school, you spend thousands of hours. I think it's 10,000 hours in a classroom setting, and what we develop is a short-term memory, right? So everything that you learn in a classroom is in one ear and out the other. And if it's important, you'll cram it later, right? So you're conditioning yourself not to really retain most of the stuff that you learn. Matter of fact, some of y'all were in Dallas. And if I were to test you on the speakers from Dallas and what their points were and what your nuggets were from that, most of you couldn't repeat it. Same, guilty as charged, all right? It's just the way that we're programmed. However, what if there was a way that you could get the information to be a better leader, to sell better, to connect with more people, to be a better, spouse, to be a better brother, sister, son, daughter, parent, all those things? What if you could be a better friend? What if you could absolutely program yourself to be better in all these areas, and the only tweak that you made was the way that the information was delivered to you? That would be pretty crazy, right? So in April, what's going to happen is a guy by the name of Mark Aceta, who is my mentor. He absolutely transformed my life. He introduced me to something called edutainment. And what happens is he actually dresses in costumes and puts on like Saturday Night Live skits where he teaches you a lesson about your business, about your life, about your relationships, about your health, all these things. All right. And he's going to do it in an entertaining way. That's why all of us still know the words to the Addams Family song, even if you've probably never even seen the original show or the movie. All right. We all know some of the Brady Bunch stuff. You will be able to repeat songs you haven't heard in 10, 20 years or more. And the reason being is because you were entertained while you learned it. Isn't that crazy? Matter of fact, back in 2011, I remember all of the characters from that first view, and I remember the lessons that they taught me, and I remember the nuggets and the thoughts and the actions that came from that because of how profound that experience was. So, long story short, if you want to create leverage in your life, use Gina, use the ARC, use Clay and President's Club, use Nick, myself, Mike, Rachel, Aaron, Dave, use all of us, okay? But if you want to create maximum leverage in your entire life, you need to be at this event. And you're like, well, it's a couple $100. Sure. So are you more concerned about the couple $100 that you're going to have to pay out, or should you be more concerned about the hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars that you're forfeiting by leaving that on the table, by not becoming the person that is deserving of those things? See, what you always want to be looking at is the return. Can you get a 10x, 100x, 1000x of the return of investment? At the View, the answer is a resounding absolutely. Matter of fact, it will cost you so much more not to go than the price of the ticket. See, there's always a price and then there's a cost. Are you willing to pay the price, or are you going to endure the cost? Okay. And so by going to this event for a few days, your mindset will change. You will grow. You will be around all of us. And you're going to hear from top producers, the Michael Jordans. I'm not going to say LeBron. The very top people in our industry, the Tom Brady's, of our industry, and they're going to teach you exactly what they did to get to where they are. And all you have to do is rinse and repeat. And so, guys, what you'll want to do if you're serious, and by the way, if you're in this and you're just kicking tires and you're like, I'm just doing this part-time as a way to make an extra couple $1,000s, pay off credit card, to pay off, student loans, to buy Christmas presents, to fund a vacation, whatever, totally cool. I'm not at all, kicking dirt on that. All right. That's fantastic that you're willing to do extra to get extra. Okay. What I am talking about is the people that absolutely want their life from a financial and from a business and from a mental and a spiritual place to grow. If you got into this so that your life looked different, you have to be there. That you cannot negotiate the price. Okay. You cannot negotiate it. Right. And so if you want to go and you're ready to make that decision, you haven't signed up for the event yet, I get it. Nobody's pushed you because they don't care enough about you to push you, but I care enough about you to push you, because I know that the people that don't go to these events, I'm not going to see in 6 to 12 months. They're just going to fade away into the distance because they're not absolutely dedicated to their own vision for their life. All right. And so if you're coming with us, we're going to have an absolutely incredible time. We're going to have a party bus with a lot of people. All right. We already picked out the bus. We are fired up. We're going to have a party bus. It's in Raleigh, North Carolina from April 12th through the 14th. To get your ticket before they sell out, there's a high probability that this sells out because it's a limited size venue because of the entertainment piece of it. We can't do just a normal stage. Okay. So you can go to theallianceevents.com, and get your ticket. I would recommend getting multiple, especially while they're on sale right now. If they're $1,000, the other day I went to a concert for a band I've been really wanting to go to for a long time. I paid $1,000 for those tickets. Okay. The $300-400 that the tickets are for this event are far greater in value than that. I can't believe they're as cheap as they are. So get a few, because you're probably going to want to bring some people with you. All right. And the last thing is this, guys. We do these calls every single week for y'all, unless something happens, and but for the most part, every single week we do these for y'all. And it's not because we like seeing ourselves on camera. Right? It's not because we don't have anything going on Monday and Thursday nights. It's because we absolutely care about you. And we want you to win. We want you to win probably more than most of you want you to win. All right. We don't bring people on because, we love the amount of work it takes to train somebody up. We bring people on because we see ourselves in their eyes. We see ourselves within you guys. And we see that we were the same people searching for something more at one point in time. And somebody gave enough of a damn about us to reach out their hand and say, if you're willing to do the work, I'll show you the way. So we come out here on Monday and Thursday nights for you guys. All right. And so don't take that for granted. Please plug into these things, because we're not doing it for ourselves. Trust me, there's lots of other things we could be doing right now, especially people like Gina and the people that we have on here as guests. They are not at all tied to y'all, and they still have a heart to serve. And so they come on here, they use up their time, which is precious. And please don't take that for granted. And so this next week, so this Thursday, we'll be doing an opportunity call. I'll be doing that. So if you like a bunch of jokes and all sorts of stuff, come have fun with me. All right. We'll be doing it Thursday at 7 p.m. If you got some people that are prospective that you want them to join and sell and do this journey with us, invite them on. We'll have a good time. Next Monday, we have the one and only Marcus Richardson. All right. From Colorado. Marcus is a pastor of a church. He's an incredible husband. He's a fantastic dad. He is a world-class dancer, singer. I mean, the guy is without a doubt one of the most talented human beings on the planet. And he's also one of the most humble. But his story is so compelling because he went from basically being on government assistance to being in the top 1% of income in the entire United States, really the world. Okay. And so it's like, if there's anybody's story that can resonate with every single person on the planet, it's his. He was in a place where he could barely rub two pennies together, and now he's building wealth far beyond anybody in his family tree. He is single-handedly shifting the tide and shifting the direction of his family tree. This is a really, really big deal, y'all. And so you're going to have the one and only Marcus Richardson, and he's going to go over exactly what he did to build this dream life that he has for his wife and his children. So if that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what is. So please hop on next Monday and show all the love in the world for another person that has been nothing but kind and giving to us and our team. Show him all the love in the world. And that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate y'all hanging out. Thank you again, Gina Hawks, for being on here. The recording of this will be sent out probably sometime tomorrow, but love you guys, and let's go crush this week, and let's make 2024 the best year of our lives. Love y'all. Have a great night.